Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be reviewing Modern European History with Dr. Robert Toombs on the Peterson Academy. So this course just came out, I think it was yesterday. It could have been the day before. It was either Saturday or Sunday. That is the new schedule for the Peterson Academy courses. They're going to be coming out every single week on the weekend now. Before, they were doing 3 a month, so not quite one every week, and they were coming out on Wednesdays. Now I believe they're switching their schedule to weekend releases. I think that was requested from some students, so that is the new schedule that we're on. And I am almost caught up. I have about 5 or 6 courses to catch up on, so I'm going to try to get through them all this month in January. So expect lots of Peterson Academy videos this month because I want to get fully caught up so that every week I take the new course, I review it for you guys, and that should hopefully loosen up my schedule to do some other things on this channel. But today we're going to be talking about modern European history, and like I said, it just came out. And because it was a history course, I, of course, had to binge it immediately. I watched this whole thing in a day. Yesterday, my Sunday was basically spent just watching these lectures, but I liked them. I liked them quite a bit. I'm a little bit torn on how to feel about them, and I'm going to give you guys more explanation on that towards the end of the video. As always, we'll start with the synopsis on the Peterson Academy website first, then we'll go over the quizzes, the names of all the lectures, and the recommended books, and then, like I said, I'll give you guys kind of my personal thoughts on the course. So, the synopsis on the Peterson Academy website. In Modern European History, an 8-hour course, Dr. Robert Toombs reveals Europe's transformation from the Enlightenment to the present, examining key developments such as reason-based thinking, industrialization, and the rise of modern nation-states. We trace Europe's journey through world wars, imperial expansion and decline, and the Cold War, highlighting the interplay between intellectual, social, and political forces. The course also explores the creation of the European Union, ongoing debates about colonialism, democracy, and European identity, and current challenges to the European unity, connecting historical patterns to present-day issues. So that gives you guys kind of a general overview of what this course is about. Like I said, I'm a little bit split on it. I don't know how exactly to feel about it. I took it immediately because it's a history course taught by one of the greatest living historians today in Dr. Robert Toombs. However, it's covering a huge period of history, almost 400 years of history. I believe he starts in 1688 and he works his way up to the present day. So I usually don't like any history books, any history courses, anything that covers history in a kind of broad, expansive range like that. I'm somebody who loves the dry, nitty-gritty details of history. I love to get lost in just very, very dry history books that just immerse you in the facts of the time. And I love multi-volume history books. Something like The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, to me, that's perfect because it's inexhaustible in its detail. It packs everything that it can into it, whereas something like this, it's covering too large of a time period. And I know even something like The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire is covering a pretty large time period, and even that work, 6 volumes, I think 35,000 or 3,500, not 35,000, 3,500 pages. It's still a long work, but it still doesn't even go into all the detail that you could talking about that time period. So yeah, that would be my only critique about this course, is that it's covering a pretty expansive time period there. But it was very, very interesting. I think Dr. Robert Toombs did a fantastic job of providing brilliant little anecdotes that really livened up the course. And he had some very, very interesting facts. And when you have a historian like this I think this guy's like 75 years old, like he's lived a long life. When you have a historian like this who's written many great history books, they have so many facts packed into their head that their fact selection is really what makes them good professors. You'll have professors here and there that maybe are a little bit younger teaching history, and they repeat facts that are often repeated. But when you have a historian that's like dove into archives as extensively as somebody like Dr. Robert Toombs, then he can kind of select facts that most people probably haven't heard about, and he can kind of illustrate situations and periods in history that perhaps don't get the coloring that they necessarily deserve in mainstream history, I guess. So I love taking courses from historians like this. The Lord Andrew Roberts history course was also fantastic on the Peterson Academy for the same reasons. You have a historian that's written many, many great history books, and he has so many interesting facts packed into his head that he can kind of pull out the ones that are less talked about, right? So I loved this course for that reason. So like I said, I'm a little bit split on it, but it covers a lot of interesting points. It covers colonialism. Now, there is another course on the Peterson Academy that covers colonialism in even greater detail, and it's deconstructing colonialization, I believe it's called. And that one I am currently taking. I'm almost done it, so I should have a review out for you guys before the end of the week, and I'm really enjoying that one as well. So that was kind of one of the main things that was touched on in this course. Another thing is when he went over World War II, I believe he spent 2 lectures on it, or 1 or 2. 6 and 7 were kind of spent on World War II, and he had a lot of interesting takes and a lot of interesting ways of looking at that war that I found incredibly useful. So if you're somebody who's interested in the world wars, I think you'll find a lot of interesting anecdotes and facts from Robert Toombs in this course. So I'm going to go over the names of each of the lectures in the course, and then we will talk about the quizzes and the recommended books. So the first lecture is titled Roots of Reason. The second lecture is Conflict in the Age of Reason. The third is Industry and Innovation. The fourth is Imperial Impact. The fifth is World War I era. The sixth is World War II era. The seventh is After the Wars, Europe Divided. And the eighth is Efforts Towards Unity. As far as the quizzes go, I'm really not the person to ask because European history is something that I've studied quite deeply. And for me, I probably could have just taken all of the quizzes and not watched any of the lectures and done pretty well on them. This is something that I'm obsessed about, European history, so it's hard for me to give you guys an objective answer to how difficult the quizzes would be. I think they're going to be easy for most people. A lot of the stuff taught in this course wasn't stuff that is taught in like regular high schools. A lot of this stuff I didn't learn in high school. So there will be some new information there that you might need to memorize, but it's going to be like names and dates and stuff like that. It's not going to be anything, I think, too difficult. At least for me, something like neurology, something like cosmology was a little bit more difficult. More numbers, more big words to memorize, whereas this was a little bit easier for me. It was very easy for me, but like I said, I'm not really the person to ask on this subject. But that's how I feel about the quizzes. Now, I'll go over the recommended books real quick because there's 3 fantastic books recommended. The first one is The Pursuit of Glory by Tim Blanning. I actually have not read that one yet, but I'm very interested in picking that one up. It looks like a fantastic read. The other one is The Pursuit of Power from Richard J. Evans. I'm a huge fan of Richard J. Evans. I've read, I think, 4 or 5 of his books to this point. I haven't read this one yet, but it is on my list. And the last one is Ian Kershaw's To Hell and Back, Europe from 1914 to 1942. I think that one is terrific. Ian Kershaw is one of my favorite historians of all time, and I recommend you reading just about anything or everything from him. Same with Richard J. Evans, too. He's fantastic, and I believe him and Dr. Robert Toombs are actually colleagues or friends, so that's quite cool as well. Anything else I want to touch on with this course? Well, there is another course that's very similar to this on YouTube. If you are still not signed up for the Peterson Academy and you're very interested in taking a course that covers European history, there is a course from Yale, free on YouTube. I believe it's 20 or 22 lectures long. I'll throw it up on screen right now. And it is fantastic. I really, really liked that one. However, I will say, going back and rewatching some of those lectures from the Yale course, I will say that I think I'm pretty confident in the Peterson Academy being able to provide the same amount of information in less lectures. Like, I was a little bit skeptical before because, people were saying in the comments, like, this isn't a real university. Real universities, their courses are like 20 lectures long. 8 lecture courses aren't the same thing. And while I had to agree with that at first, the more and more courses that I take, the more I feel like the quality of the professors matched with the quality of the production at the Peterson Academy makes for lectures that are more concise and more dense than the average lecture, even from somewhere like Yale or Harvard. So I found going back and rewatching those Yale lectures, what it would take that professor to explain in 1 or 2 or 3 lectures, Dr. Robert Toombs could compress into 1. So I am pretty confident in this format. And I like that they can take their time and focus on very, very specific niche ideas. Like I took a course on narcissism, which I recently reviewed on this channel, and you won't find a course on narcissism at most top universities. It's a very specific subject. Usually you'll learn about that in a psychology course, but there won't be a specific course on narcissism. So I like that they can use this Academy's format, the Peterson Academy's format, to kind of directly target very specific sub-sciences or subjects, which is, it's brilliant. But something like this, modern European history, is something that would probably benefit from being 20 to 40 lectures long, even in the format that I said that the Peterson Academy has, where they kind of condense and have a very concise message in their lectures. They're able to fit more into them. But I still think if you're going to cover modern European history, it's going to take you like 40 lectures, if not more. That's a lot of history, and there's so many different ways you can go. So Robert Toombs took it in a few interesting directions, but there's like 1,000 different ways you could have taken this course and picked out different facts and different areas of study. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Like I said, if you guys aren't signed up for the Peterson Academy, you can go take those Yale courses. I found them very useful, but I do think this course on the Peterson Academy is an upgrade. I do think it's better. I think because of the production quality of the Peterson Academy and just the focus that they have, the professors, they always show up very nicely dressed usually. They're very focused. And like I said, it's very concise, very direct. They seem to be able to jam-pack more information into their lectures, but that's just how I feel about it. So I went over the recommended books, I went over the lectures, I went over the quizzes. To kind of just summarize, I'll go over kind of which ones were my favorite lectures, because that seems to be fun to do. Talking about industrialization and that kind of stuff, a little bit more boring to me. That's just, I'm more interested in war and leaders and battles and stuff like that. So for me, like the first three lectures were not sluggish, like they were very interesting. But for me, the ones that really got me going were lectures 5, 6, and 7: World War I, World War II, and not World War III. Not yet. Hopefully not yet. Hopefully that never happens. But yeah, the World War lectures were fantastic to me. I really, really enjoyed them. And then the last lecture was good too. Just kind of some concluding thoughts talking about unity and then the pros and cons of European history and how it's kind of been stomped on recently, dragged through the mud, and how we should be, prideful about our history as well. There's stuff to look back on and feel bad about, and that's definitely there. We all know about the history of slavery and all that, but there's a lot to be proud about in our history. And I'm somebody who's German, French. Obviously, I speak English as well. I love European history. That's where all of my ancestors are from. So I love learning about it. And I thought this was a fantastic course. So that's all that I have for today, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. It helps boost this channel and the algorithm. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.